Consider this your official spoiler warning for the anime. This episode of Jujutsu Kaisen had it all. The emotion, the action, the voice acting, and the color, especially the animation. This is easily one of my top 5 favorite episodes of Season 2. It opens with a playful scene between the trio, and it really is just heartbreaking. I know this group of characters didn't have as many scenes together as other shows, but they really had some chemistry, and it shows in this scene especially. I always thought the lighthearted nature of Yuji's personality blended well with Nobara's short temper and Megami's seriousness. At this point, I think it's fair to say that Nobara is probably dead. The cut between this scene and her, on the ground, completely lifeless. It just kills me. And then you have Yuji's voice actor, really giving it his all. The emotion coming from each Itadori this episode is completely top notch. And I love the contrast between Mahito and Yuji's emotions here. Mahito is clearly having the time of his life. His manic laughter goes right into Yuji's silence and subsequent hyperventilating, and it really clashes incredibly well. Nobara's maybe death, coming right off the coattails of Nanami, combined with all the people Sukina killed, is enough to break Yuji in this episode, and Mahito is right there to completely rub it in his face. His speech about their ideologies is definitely one of the best villain speeches I've heard in this show. Him talking about how they're the same people reminds me of the Joker and Batman's dynamic. While it's by no means a new idea, or even a fresh take on it, Mahito's manic behavior blends really well with Yuji's sense of guilt, and it keeps everything feeling fresh. Mahito really just wants to kill people, and he wants Yuji to feel like he failed every single one. Mahito highlights the contrasting nature of their goals beautifully, crushing any will that each Itadori might have left, and then Todo comes in, and he really is the GOAT. To Todo, all things one day will cease to exist, except for him. Except for Jujutsu sorcerers. I like that the first thing Todo thinks about, aside from unsealing Gojo, is Yuji. I've personally been waiting all season for them to fight together again. Anyway, Todo proceeds to absolutely school Mahito. It's beautifully done. I mean, Todo isn't even breaking a sweat. And somehow he still finds the time to help his brother out of his slump. And keep in mind, Yuji's ambition has always been to help people since episode 1. During the Shibuya incident, he failed to help Gojo, he let Sukina out, and he leveled parts of the city, and he failed to save Nanami and Nobara from certain death. This man has been through it, and he is in a bad headspace. He's not afraid to let Todo know that he's completely done. I feel like part of Yuji accepted what Mahito said about him, and now Todo has to come spitting out some straight facts, creating one of the best speeches in the show. It follows the same thematic principle as Erwin's speech in Season 3 of Attack on Titan. It's up to Yuji and Todo to carry the burden and the memory of those who died in their place. This is why Jujutsu sorcerers are the exception. What they left behind to those who are still alive is what lives on. Todo essentially tells Yuji to stop focusing on why people die, but instead to focus on what they entrusted to him, giving him time to figure out what that is and what it means going forward. Nita patches up Yuji, and we get some confirmation that Nobara might not actually be dead. I don't know what to think about this. The dialogue is weird to include if she actually is dead, but it really kind of felt permanent. Seeing Yuji get up again after such an emotional breakdown was super hype. The animators do a great job of showing the weight behind Todo's movements in the fight. Every clap feels super deliberate and calculated, and Yuji's newfound resolve pays off when he lands an incredibly looking black flash. It seriously looks amazing. Yuji promising to carry out Nanami's plan with his own really cements his newfound understanding, and I think this philosophy will be a core part of his character going forward. We then hop over to another scene heavy with emotion. We have Miwa. A lot of characters have been missing this season, and Miwa gets her reason why. She just hasn't gotten good yet. Obviously that's oversimplifying it. Mekamaru can't just risk her death by dragging her into danger, knowing full well what could and probably would happen. Mekamaru signs off for good, saying goodbye to Miwa, and telling her that she has to find a way to be happy. This scene in particular does a really good job of showing emotion. Sure, you have the obvious stuff, like Miwa's upfront and blunt sorrow, along with the anger of the rest of the crew on the train. But the art style does a great job of showing Mekamaru's feelings in these scenes, and this is all besides the gorgeous color palette throughout. The long shot of the bus seat where Mekamaru wishes he could sit, where Miwa wishes he was, and then, as the train enters the tunnel, he's there, just for a second, to say his final goodbye to Miwa. What an awesome and subtle scene in such an action-packed episode. This entire episode has really been chock full of beauty. The return to the brawl between Mahito, Todo, and Itadori is spectacular. Mahito is finally feeling some pressure, and it's all Nobara's fault. His acknowledgement of this is completely awesome to hear. Not only was his soul damaged by resonance, his pride was hurt. Mahito thinks of himself as this all-powerful curse, a self-fulfilling purpose as he gets stronger. Having someone like Nobara, who he considers to be very weak, damaging him way more than Yuji or Todo ever could have up to this point, messes with his psyche a lot. I love Todo sending himself through a galaxy just to hype himself up to land the final black flash of the episode. We get to see a bit of Todo's insecurities here as well, though his delivery kind of makes them feel like securities. Either way, he doesn't want to be left behind the protagonist. It's the fatal curse of all side characters. The episode ends with all three characters reaching 120% of their potential. I don't really know what that means. It seems like for Mahito it just means he got even grosser. But it sounds like next week's fight is going to be great. As always, thanks for being here.